All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual competing at PFL Challenger Series 11, and that goes down on February the 10th. A very intriguing heavyweight fight on the horizon. We have Hassan Graham and Abraham Babley getting out there and testing skills, and good to have Abraham on the show for the very first time. How's your day going so far there, man?
Very good, mate. Got my session in this morning. Got another one this evening. So we're grinding, mate. We're grinding.
And just what did that moment feel, just like clinching that like PFL Europe spot? You got the Louis Sutherland victory and everything like that. Like, how good did it feel to kind of secure a win like that and kind of integrate yourself into something like this, just like a potential opportunity to become part of the PFL roster and everything?
To be absolutely honest with you, mate, this is all I expected. When I first set out to get into this game, I knew I'd be at this level. I knew I could mix it with the best and also get to the level where I am one of all the best. Do you know what I mean? So to me, none of this surprises me. I'm just taking each step as it comes and making my way towards being the best, no doubt.
When did you have this kind of belief in you? Like, was it something like early on you became enamored by the sport and there was just something in you where you knew you'd participate in it and be able to succeed? Like, where does that, I guess, belief and broader vision kind of come from?
With all honesty with you, mate, I feel that if you're setting out to do a sport like this and you're looking at it in a way of, I'm just getting in this just to have fun, you've got the wrong mindset. I'm in this to be the best. And there's nothing less or nothing more that I think about. I do this to want to be the best. So this isn't a thing where I've had to motivate myself. It's always been there, and I'm about to show on February the 10th why I will be one of the best in the world for sure.
Well, I was just checking out an interview that you had done with Overtime Heroics about a year or so ago, and it seemed like that, confidence and broader vision was there as well, like in as far as talking about how you were putting more into it as an amateur than a lot of other professionals there. So like, where does that like work ethic come from? Like, I mean, you talk about entering the sport to want to be the best. Like, what inspired you to want to become part of the sport and, be the best within it?
Well, for me, I'm almost like the small kid that's a bit of a madman, and I look at it as being a smaller heavyweight in terms of height-wise, as the smaller guy that's coming here to prove a point and prove that, I'm here to make a statement and I will be one of the best. So in terms of where that's come from and how that's come from, it has to be my upbringing. I've come from a very hard and rough background and, like many others that are in the game as well. So, you either use that to motivate you or you allow that to affect you, and I will never let my past or my future affect my mindset. I'm staying on task and I will get to where I need to get to.
Yeah, you had posted something about that a little while ago that kind of addresses that as well, like talking about how you're doing this for like a generation of people from a similar background and just showing that you can, achieve great things even though you're born without a lot of opportunities. And within that post, I was seeing that you had came into like the last fight there with an MCL tear and you were operating at like a very tiny percentile of what you're able to do. Like, how much of that, I guess, like mindset and
anyone that knows me knows that wasn't even close to what I can do. Again, all fighters, no fighters come out 100%. Don't get it twisted, mate. No fighters come out 100%. But the fact that I knew that I was still capable of performing to a high level, even on one leg, I just can't wait for the world to see what I can do with both.
Yeah, I would think that in a certain way that you could derive a lot of confidence from a performance like that, because obviously a very significant injury and, getting a victory over an opponent who had, a decent bit more professional experience than you and was undefeated prior to fighting him. So is that a fair assessment?
We can't take anything away from Louis. Louis at the time was 4-0, knocking people to sleep, He was sleeping people left, right, and centre, and I came and handled business at 1-0. How many people could you say get signed by a big organisation at 1-0? Not many. How many people could you say get signed with 4 years experience, not many. So I'm going to show what I've been able to do in these last couple of years. I'm going to show what I'm capable of, and I'm going to show that in the next couple of years you're going to know my name as one of the best heavyweights to ever live.
Yeah, and it seemed like you've been active in previous years and stuff like that, like in 2021 especially. Looks like you got a few bouts in, and the cool thing about, the PFL structure, if you were to, go through the Challenger Series and get your ideal outcomes and everything like that, it would facilitate competing a fair bit throughout the season and just really the calendar year in general. Is that something that excites you as a competitor?
Of course, I'm very excited. I'm proud of how far I've become. I'm thankful for the opportunities that I've been given, and I'm not also in denial of what I need to do. I still have a lot of experience. I still need a lot of ring time and cage time. I still need to get as many fights as I can get in. Again, I can't stress this enough. This isn't about me boasting or me being arrogant. I'm not arrogant. I'm just very confident in what I have to do. And if I ain't confident in myself first, how could I make the world believe that too?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have belief in your abilities and stuff like that. I mean, such an important part of competing. But I guess I'm wondering, like, what the familiarity might be with, like, the PFL heavyweights. Like, is this a promotion you've been, like, studying a bit prior to this, or would that be almost getting ahead of yourself and you're mostly just, like, squarely focused on this next fight and then whatever happens thereafter?
To be honest, mate, one step at a time. I'm not really looking at anyone else. I truly believe as long as I prepare the way I always prepare for all my fights, I'll always be a step ahead of these guys. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of these guys have a lot more experience than me, but I will show that with drive, hunger, determination, none of that matters.
And we've been kind of talking about the Challenger Series, and you're talking about how, like, relatively early on in your journey you are. Like, how important is it to, have a platform like this where you can have, like, a relatively, like, minor amount of experience but can punch a ticket to one of the bigger promotions in the world? I would think that would be an exciting thing for a fighter on the rise.
It's very important. It's very important for me, for the community, for people with similar background to me to also see what I've been able to achieve in the last 4 years. There's some people getting into the sport thinking these things ain't possible, but anything's possible, with belief. And again, as I say, determination. How can you doubt yourself?
And this probably is something I feel like I know the answer to, just based on what you were saying before in terms of focusing on your individual fight. But is there any peripheral awareness to any of the other heavyweight fights on this upcoming lineup, or maybe not so much? Because I actually saw Louis Sutherland was fighting Alton Meeks, and there's a couple other heavyweight matchups. Is there even, like, a peripheral awareness of those fights, or just kind of blinders on more so?
I'd be very silly to not be aware of everyone. I'd be very, again, as I like to say, in denial about what's happening. I'm aware of what's going on, but again, as long as I focus on myself and I prepare the correct way, there's nothing I need to worry about. It's all in my hands, and it's all at the same time. It's for me to lose also. So I've got to stay focused. I've got to stay hungry and want it more than everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And then just in talking about your next opponent here, like, I'm curious if you're a guy that does a fair bit of, tape study. Like, you talk about not wanting to be in denial and stuff like that. So maybe part of that would be wanting to have a certain level of familiarity with, like, what your opponent brings to the table. And to that point, have you been studying Hassan Graham and maybe some of his previous fights?
Yeah, I've watched a few fights. I have nothing but respect for him. Again, I see that he's come from an NFL football background. So I have nothing but respect. I'm sure he's got a lot of power. Again, with any other heavyweight, we hit each other for fun, and that hurts me. Yeah, anyone that says it doesn't hurt, it hurts. But again, we are real life modern day gladiators, and if you're not prepared for anything in there, then you're in the wrong sport.
So that's, like, probably one of the bigger things you think he does well stylistically, like maybe the power and athleticism that he brings to the table. Like, are those some of his better attributes that you've seen?
Yeah, of course, he seems like he hits very hard. but I hit very, very hard too. So we'll see who hits the hardest, won't we? So, you know, I'm not here to disrespect anyone. I'm not here to make anyone feel something that they're not. I respect him, but February the 10th, I will show why I'm on a different level.
Yeah, and just in terms of like upping that level and building the skills, it seems like Manchester Top Team is the primary space where you get in that work. Are you mostly working out of that camp for this one, and who are the main, I guess, training partners that you would credit?
I'll be in a few other gyms, you know, finding different bodies, getting different looks. But yeah, Manchester Top Team is where I'm at.
A lot of heavyweight bodies there to kind of get in that work with and stuff like that.
Well, it's quite difficult, you know, especially in the UK. Europe alone, you know, I believe there's less than 50 heavyweights in the country. So if I sit here and complain about my bodies and I sit here and worry about who I can train with, I'm never going to get there. Do you know what I mean? Like people like John Jones, who's he going to train with every day? He ain't going to train with anyone on a similar level to him every day. So I can't sit here and complain myself. I just got to keep my head down and crack on.
So could there be the potential in the future to, I mean, like you were saying before, like there seems to be like at least a certain level of cross training, but like maybe as the career keeps going on, like maybe the cross training ramps up just to facilitate getting in that work with other heavyweight bodies? Or do you see yourself mostly working at like Manchester Top Team?
100%. I'd love the opportunity to be able to train with the likes of John Jones, Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane. You know, I've already trained with Tom Aspinall, so, you know, I've got many heavyweights on my list that I'd like to train with. You know, in this game, we have a poor mindset of sticking to your own and not working with others. If you don't work with others, how are you going to get better? You know, a lot of boxers train with each other and they end up fighting each other in the future. I'm not afraid of showing my skills to a future opponent. I'm not afraid of that. So I would definitely love the opportunity to train with many heavyweights in the world.
Yeah, some exciting opportunities potentially, but one of the last things I wanted to touch on, I'm always curious about fighter nicknames and like the origin stories and everything. I noticed your nickname was the one and only. Like, where did that come from? Like, what was the inspiration and who gave it to you and all that?
Well, the one and only, there's only one Abraham Babley, do you know what I mean? I am the one and only, you know, and I'm going to show that I am the one and only. The one and only isn't something where it comes from a ignorant standpoint, you know? The one and only is deep in my soul. I come from a family of real hard workers. I'm from a country of hard workers, Ivory Coast. You know, there was a civil war not many years ago. You know, many people have died. My mum's uncle got his head cut off in front of his family. So we come from a lot of pain, and that's all I share in that cage, a lot of pain.
Do you find there's a level of catharsis competing? Like, obviously what you're saying, it sounds like you've been through a lot of serious, traumatic kind of stuff. Is there a catharsis that comes from training and competing and everything?
Yeah, I love this. There's nothing more I could say. I absolutely love this fight game. You know, this is born in me. This is born in my family. You know, we come from, again, I can't stress this enough. I come from a family of warriors, you know, and I'm about to show the world what a real modern day warrior is about. You know, I will show my pain, and I don't think many can handle that pain.
And I think your track record is a big indicator of that. Like, you know, people getting outside the distance is not something that historically happens when fighting Abraham Babley, but I really do appreciate the time and you coming on the show, man. It's been cool getting to talk to you a bit, but I do want to be mindful of your time and schedule too. So to that point, is there maybe anything you'd like to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, Abraham?
All I want to say is stay tuned, Florida, stay tuned. I'm ready to make a statement this fight, and I will make a statement this fight. Again, this isn't no arrogant behavior. This isn't me thinking I'm all that. This isn't for anyone to say, oh, he's only 5'10". Look what Mike Tyson did in boxing. Look what DC did in MMA. Height does not matter. You know, if you are determined, skilled, hungry, anything's possible. And I'm about to show that anything is possible.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing fight and a crop of very intriguing heavyweight bouts on February the 10th there, and PFL Challenger Series 11 should very much be an exciting one. And yeah, to reiterate, thanks for coming on the show ahead of this Hassan Graham fight, and just looking forward to peeping it when it goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day there, Abraham.
Nice one, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.